Welcome to the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. Just like you, I'm an independent retail business owner. I love the home decor and gift boutique I co-own with my sister, but I don't want it to consume me or my life. Join me each week as I share lessons learned, helpful tips, and valuable information for your retail business and life. Whether you're buying your products or making your products, whether you're a $25K business or a $2.5 million business, I'm on a mission to help indie retailers work less, profit more, and grow. Let's get started on today's episode. Welcome to episode 174 of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. I'm really happy to say that I'm back in your ear pods, earbuds, whatever they're called, with an episode that I'm interviewing a shopkeeper. This is a Master Shopkeepers member. Her name is Sanso. She's the owner of Island Life Artisan Gifts. And I feel like it's been a little while since I've done an interview, at least with a group member, because I did the trademark episode recently, but with a group member. So I'm really happy to share this story with you and talk to Alex. So Alex, you're in Bainbridge Island, Washington, right?
That's correct.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I intentionally didn't ask you too many questions before this because I really want this to just be a natural conversation. You participate in a lot of group calls, but I'm really curious about your journey into shopkeeping. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, how did you end up owning the store that you have now? I feel like we all take a variety of paths into owning stores.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to share that story. And thank you for having me on to share it. I appreciate it. So I guess I would have to jump back. Many years ago, I worked for Walt Disney theme parks based out of Orlando, Florida. And my job was, I was in a creative department that was focused on designing and creating the merchandise that was sold in the theme park gift shops. So I loved working for that company. I've always been a fan of Disney. I grew up going to Disneyland in California, so always been a fan. And what I learned from them is the power of creating and developing really great quality souvenirs and mementos that represent an amazing experience or amazing trip that a family or, people are taking as they vacation, that these mementos and souvenirs matter. And they were always highest quality and really good artwork and all of that. That was just important, even if it was just a little magnet or a little sticker, all the way up to, whatever it may be. I really learned how to, create art for specifically the use of merchandise. So many years later, moved to Bainbridge Island, Washington. Bainbridge Island, Washington is a beautiful place. It's only a 30-minute ferry ride from Seattle, from the waterfront. And a lot of folks come to visit Bainbridge Island for the day or, for short vacations. It's just an idyllic place. It's a lovely community, great little downtown with lots of wonderful shops. But one thing that I noticed right away after moving here is that while there are some beautiful shops on the island, and many of them focus on great gifts and decor and things like that, maybe focused on the Northwest, but there wasn't one that was really focused on Bainbridge Island. And more over the last few years, Bainbridge Island itself as a destination has become really popular, especially for folks, coming from cruise ships that are going to Alaska, for example. They'll take a day trip to Bainbridge. So I thought, I have this experience with creating merchandise, and I just kind of tried something out. I made some artwork and some merchandise of Bainbridge Island. Now, I didn't have a shop at that point, but I approached some shops on the street and they liked what I was doing, and some started wholesaling from me. And then as that went on a little bit more, I created more and more things to expand my collection. Eventually, I had a booth at the farmer's market because my collection was getting bigger and bigger. And crazy thing is, what really led me to open up the shop was the pandemic. I had most of my clients, besides doing my own stuff for Bainbridge, I was doing work for other clients in the hospitality industry. and designing merchandise for their shops. But of course, the pandemic came along, a lot of those things shut down, and I suddenly had very few clients. But yet I had my Bainbridge Island things that I had been creating and making. So a great opportunity came up. I saw a for lease sign in a storefront on Winslow Way, which is the street that where our main downtown core is. It was in a perfect spot on the street, which I had always thought, wow, it would be amazing to have a shop in town here. But little old me as a, self-employed artist and designer, how am I going to ever afford that? But this opportunity came along. There was an open space. They needed to fill it. They were willing to give me a chance without a lease to just try this out, which I thought, wow, if there was ever a time to try this, I'm going to try it now. Now, mind you, I had been thinking of this since about 2015, how I would love to have a shop where I could sell my goods as well as other locally made and locally designed goods that focused on Bainbridge Island. So I took my shot and I opened it up in August of 2021.
That was my first question, is what year did you open? So 5 years later, after you had the original idea, were you in Bainbridge Island in 2015 at the time?
Yeah. So moved to Bainbridge in 2007, and yes, was living there with my family. And, like I said, I could see that there was a market for what I was creating and what I was doing because I was, selling it in other shops and having the farmers market. And I also was, for several years, I was popping up little pop-up, booths and events wherever I could just throw up a tent and try it. We have every 4th of July, we have a major, event here on the island. Very cute, really fun little hometown parade and festival and all of that stuff. So I had set up a booth at the street fair on the 4th of July for a few years as well, and was very successful with that. And after all these times, people would say, oh, so this is great. Where is your shop? Do you have a shop here? And I would say, well, no, but I do sell some things in this store and that store and that store. But I always thought, wow, I'd love to be able to say, yes, my shop is on this street.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I love that you did how many years of, I will call it market research. Like how many years of market research were you doing? How many markets did you do and pop-ups?
Yeah, gosh. If I had to count the exact number, I'm not sure, but over the course I'd say between 2013 and let's say 2020, ranging from literally setting up a pop-up on my porch at my house all the way to the farmer's market where I, had my booth there. I don't know, maybe 10, 15, times over the course of those years. I had even been talking to some friends who were fellow creatives who also loved this idea. And we kind of had been talking about maybe we'd come up with some sort of co-op where we do this together. And I had folks who were very interested in that, but most of those people also had full-time jobs. They weren't necessarily ready to just pitch everything into running a full-time shop. And I realized that when that opportunity came up in 2021, and I reached out to some of those folks, and they were like, wow, that sounds great, but I just can't do that right now at this point in my life. That's when I realized I'm going to have to do this on my own or not at all. So I'm going to give it a shot.
Good for you. Good for you. So give me a lay of the land. Like how big of a space do you have? How many team members do you have?
Okay. The shop is actually in a smaller space than I originally opened up. The space I originally opened up with that for lease sign was a great space, but it was honestly just too big for me. I have a lot of little things, and I thought, wow, the space I would really love to have is actually about 3 doors down, but it was taken up at the time. Well, lo and behold, about a year later, that exact space did come available. Actually, the same landlord who has become my friend. She that space became available, she offered it up to me before she would put it out to, the world. And I said, yes, yes, I'll take it. So it's not huge. It's about, oh gosh, I should know this number, maybe about 500 square feet, something like that. And I have a little outdoor deck space, which also I have especially in the summer, I've kind of made that into a little extension of the store. So I have space on the deck and space inside the shop. But what's great about that small square footage is that it makes it a great challenge and a lot of fun to find all the little nooks and crannies where I can put things, because I'm finding that people really enjoy that journey in the shop. Anybody who spends some time in there starts to walk around, and they'll kind of comment sometimes like, wow, there's so much in here. Like, this is great. Like, I didn't realize how much there was to explore. So I love when people can enjoy that discovery.
Yeah. And sometimes we think that small spaces can't do beautiful things, and that's not true.
Right.
I've been working one-on-one with a client. She has less than 900 square feet, and she's a $600,000 business.
Wow.
So,
That's
right.
great.
Like, it's a really good message to people listening, to store owners listening. Like, if you want to maybe feel lesser than because you have a smaller space than your business neighbor who might have 2,000 or 3,000 square feet,
Right.
The size of the store doesn't always determine, but I do like that you identified that maybe the space you were in before was a bit too much for what you sell, and that a smaller space would be ideal. I also love that you explained the customer journey, like that they come in and they like to kind of browse and take their time looking at things and see what you have in, or what you bring in that's new. I also want to kind of circle back to what you said about Disney. I feel like I've come across quite a few people in this journey of mine with Savvy Shopkeeper who have worked for Disney and have really appreciated what that business taught them. Yeah, at least 4 that I can think of.
Yes.
But I love that you said these mementos and souvenirs matter. I want to put that in a graphic, because again, like sometimes we think, oh, it's just a tchotchke, or it's this or that, but it's a part of our life. It's a part that if we vacation there or we have beautiful memories there, we want to remember them by, and we have several souvenir store owners in the group. So I appreciate that that's what all of you bring to the people that visit those areas. You also make me want to visit Bainbridge Island. So
you definitely should.
This episode is brought to you by Master Shopkeepers, my mastermind group for brick and mortar retail store owners. If you're craving support, connection, inspiration, and motivation for your retail business, apply to join us. It doesn't matter what stage of shopkeeping you're in. What matters is your drive to work less, profit more, and grow, both personally and professionally. Learn more at savvyshopkeeper.com/group membership. That's savvyshopkeeper.com/group membership, all one word.
And just real quick, if I could just say that I'm glad that you pointed out about the thing about souvenirs making a difference, because I have to tell you, I've gone through that thing in my life where I've thought, well, am I really doing something good? Am I simply creating stuff that people are eventually going to throw away? It's just a souvenir. But I have to tell you, when I would go into those gift shops at Disney theme parks and see the joy on people's faces, not just the little kids, but everybody, all the way up to the grandparents, just the joy in finding that special thing that they're going to take home, and they might hold it onto it for years. And that's when I decided, it's okay. I'm not saving the world. I'm not curing cancer, but I am giving some people joy of giving them a nice memory of something that they experienced that they love. And if this little magnet with my illustration on it helps them remember that every day when they open the refrigerator, great. I feel good about that.
Yeah. So tell me about your product selection. What is in your store? I mean, we know it's souvenirs and gifts, but is it all handmade? Is it all your items? What is the selection like?
Yeah. So when I say souvenirs, and I mean stickers, magnets, patches, all of those, t-shirts, all of those things that we think of as typical souvenirs, pretty much almost 100% of that is my artwork that's printed on those things. And a lot of those things are actually printed on Bainbridge Island because we have a really great printer, reprographics place on the island that can do all of these things. So, but in addition to those things that I carry of my own, and also that includes art prints as well, sometimes printed on paper, sometimes on canvas. My art style is kind of like it's kind of a graphic, kind of reminiscent of like vintage travel posters, for example. So it's kind of a classic look. But besides that, I love having so many other things that are made by other folks, ranging from jewelry. I have like 5 different jewelers represented in my shop on not a very big space, but I've got just a tight little collection of jewelry. I have candles, I have perfumes and scented things. I have really nicely made cutting boards and charcuterie boards that are actually made by my wife, this is her kind of pandemic newly found passion. She's making these incredible boards that I am able to sell in my shop, and people love them. Food, I have some local food. But the thing is, I have also some fine art from other local artists. But the thing that's great about my shop being small, it really forces me to curate really tight, small assortments. I'm not trying to offer everything to everybody. I'm not trying to carry, 12 lines of candles, but I have 3 makers of candles who are all women that I've met, and they're all within a few miles of my shop, and they make wonderful candles. That's fine. That's all I need for that. So I really enjoy the curation.
Yeah, and a small space really does get you to focus on what sells well. What do people love instead of going wider? Maybe you're going smaller, not as wide and deeper because you're finding the items that your customers really love. I like the curation process too. I think it's special to a store. And I think when people walk into a store that is really well curated, they sense it, they feel it. So tell me, is your business model, is it consignment? Is it wholesale? Is it a mix of the two?
It's a mix of the two. When I first started, because I was pretty much starting on my own with my own money, it was really important that I was able to consign almost everything that I wasn't making myself of my own products. So I found people who were willing to do that and give it a try, and that worked really well. Now, as the business has been building and I've had a little bit more cash flow, consignment is great, but it's also it's a bigger thing to manage, than just ordering wholesale and paying the invoice and you're done with it. I'm trying to do that more now, and I'm buying things directly from most of my artists that I've been carrying for a while. The only things that I really have left that are on consignment are jewelry and fine art pieces that might be bigger ticket items, pretty much. So, and then of course, anything that I make that's my own product, my own art, obviously I'm buying that directly from a vendor, from a manufacturer. And that is kind of a different thing. The fact that in those cases, when I'm selling my stuff, I am both the wholesaler and I don't know how to say, what am I? I'm the distributor, I'm the wholesaler. My markup is better because I'm basically buying from myself. So that's nice.
Yeah. And do you wholesale to other stores then, your particular designs and products?
Yeah, I don't right now because our store is our downtown is so small that it doesn't make sense for me to wholesale to other shops on the street things that I'm selling in my shop. However, one thing that I have been looking into a little bit, so I don't know if you know that, you know about pickleball, because pickleball is being played everywhere.
Yes.
It turns out that Bainbridge Island is the birthplace of pickleball, and it is extremely popular. And so I get a lot of visitors from all over the world and all over the country. And most of those people from every other state in the country they come in and they see my goods that I've designed around the fact that Bainbridge is the birthplace of pickleball, and they're just blown away. They're like, "What? Bainbridge Island is the birthplace of pickleball?" And they get very excited, and they love to buy my things. So I feel like I've been expanding my pickleball goods more than anything.
Oh, wow.
Now, yeah. So that's something that I am kind of looking into. Could I wholesale to, let's say, an online, pickleball marketplace? So I've been looking into that. But right now at this point, I'm really just kind of retailing and, maybe just touching a little bit into e-commerce. I really need to focus more on that, but I just haven't had the bandwidth for it.
Yeah, that was my next question is, do you have an online shop? Not yet. I'm guessing.
I mean,
only?
well, I do. It's pretty small right now. And if anything, I'm probably going to focus on expanding the pickleball portion of the online shop, because the thing is, because my stuff is so focused on Bainbridge and it is so focused on the experience of being here, I'm not, yes, I probably could sell my things if I really pushed it out there on e-commerce, but something like pickleball is something where people can get excited and say, "Oh, I want to get a pickleball paddle that was designed on Bainbridge and says it's from Bainbridge, that says that it was the birthplace of pickleball." So that's kind of where I'm probably going to put my focus.
And I think that's very smart of you, very strategic. I think sometimes people hear me talk about omni-channel retail and e-commerce, and I don't want there's an episode coming up soon about, it's like 10 things Kathy says that people think they have to do, but you don't. So I love that you brought this up, because I often hear people say, "But Kathy said," I'm like, wait a minute, it doesn't mean it applies to everyone. So I love
right.
that you're conscientious enough to know about your business, that e-commerce doesn't really serve your ideal customer. Your ideal customer is front and center in your store. But that
Right.
you're already thinking outside of the box and seeing a trend and knowing that you can serve that pickleball customer nationwide and maybe serve them that way. I think it's fantastic. It's so smart of you. So I'm glad you brought that
Thank you.
up. So
Yeah.
you recently joined Master Shopkeepers, and I'm really curious what led you that way and how did you find me? I think I remember when you booked a discovery call with me, you said something like, I found the podcast and I binged it, but I think that's all I remember because our call was brief. So how did you find it and what made you join us in Master Shopkeepers?
Yeah, well, so I've been kind of getting into podcasts in general lately. And I guess it was several months ago that, and you had asked me earlier about, do I have staff and team members? And yes, I recently, I guess several months back, I decided I was getting to the point where I really needed some help more. I've had people kind of helping me here and there, but I really was at the point where if I'm going to grow this business in any way, I need to get out from behind the counter and be able to do some other things. So a couple of things happened. I did hire someone who she's fantastic as my main full-time person. So between she and myself and another person who's there a good amount of time and a couple of people who are sort of on call, we've got that covered. But then it led me to like, okay, now that I have a little bit more time to work on how to do this business, where can I learn more about how to do it? And I think it just popped into my head like, wait a minute, I've been listening to podcasts. Maybe there's a podcast out there that can help me with retail business. And I think I just Googled I just Googled within my podcast app a search for retail podcasts. Several came up. Yours was one of them. I kind of bookmarked 2 or 3. I started listening to yours and I could just tell from the beginning, like, I think this is going to be rich with content. And when I started to really, and I decided, okay, I'm going to start from the beginning, right? I'm one of those people like, okay, let's just like go through the whole journey. So I was kind of following along your journey, describing how you were beginning this. And I was just completely sucked in. And I found so much value in the podcast and just what you were giving out for free in these sessions. And I was just taking it all in. And I just kind of started to think about a lot of things that you said. Some things that you said really affirmed things that I had been thinking, which was great. Other things were like an aha moment, like, oh, wow, yeah, okay. And then it just kind of went from there. I'm still binging it. I still haven't caught completely up, but I really, really enjoy it. I get a lot of value out of it.
And then what made you consider joining Master Shopkeepers? Was it just that you're like, listen, this is good information. I want more. Like,
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
learn the rest.
yeah, kind of. So about a year and a half or so ago, I was a part of a similar group. It was mostly focused on women business owners, mostly creatives. It was a really great group. It's still a great group. I'm not a part of it any longer, but it's going on, and it's a great thing. I got a lot of value out of that, but so I was kind of familiar with how these sort of, like, because she operated her group similarly, where everybody in the group is part of the call. It's not necessarily a one-on-one coach. You get something from everybody that's involved. And so when I learned that that's kind of how you operated, I just did a little bit more research into, like, okay, so all right, so what would I get out of this? What would I get that I'm not getting from the podcast and all of that? And to me, that's that community that happens when you're part of a group like that is really valuable. I really wanted to know about other business owners, other retail shop owners around the country, and particularly any that might be around my region. I wanted to know how and what they were doing to be successful, or to do what they're doing. So that's kind of where I was like, I think I want to do this. I think I'm ready to do this next level thing, because I'm not getting any younger. I want to make this thing go. I want it to grow. I want to build on it. And the more resources I can tap into to help me with that, it's worth a lot.
This episode is brought to you by my free resource, Tools of the Retail Trade Resource Guide, a 28-page downloadable resource filled with software, tools, and equipment recommendations just for brick and mortar retail store owners. Learn what I use and what other store owners are using. Visit savvyshopkeeper.com/resources. That's savvyshopkeeper.com/resources, and sign up for my newsletter to get the guide. Yeah, and I love that you did your due diligence. I feel like we emailed back and forth several times. You booked the 15-minute discovery call. I always appreciate that in people. I don't know if sometimes people think like, oh, do I really need to do this? I leave that open all the time. Excuse me. I want to make sure that people feel comfortable joining, and we did, and we hopped on the call, and I think I answered all of your questions.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that you're like, listen, I'm ready to make this investment, but is this investment ready for me? Like, is it going to give me everything that I need? So I appreciated that you do that. I appreciate that you show up for as many calls as you do, that you engage and participate in the group. Because I always say, like, that's the magic of the Facebook group, when we do show up and actually talk to each other. The group calls they're helpful to me. I am constantly taking I learned from all of you too. So I love it. What's your favorite part about Master Shopkeepers?
Well, gosh, so I'm still fairly new in it. And, in fact, I haven't even really tapped into, the lab and all the lessons in there yet, because that's something I really want to get into. But, I guess I have to say that my favorite part is really, I'm going to just say the community, even though I haven't been in there long enough to really know the other members very well, but I'm starting to, see certain names and hear certain names often. And I'm starting to kind of, get, oh yeah, she's the one that has this thing that she does. And, this one's over here. And in fact, I think I did connect with one of your other members in that whole, like, oh, you worked for Disney too, kind of thing, which was really great. So it's just, I think, just knowing that group is there, that I can tap into anytime with any question. I know you say this a lot, is, even if you never go into the lab, you literally can search the Facebook group with your topic, and there's probably going to be many answers and discussions that will come up just on that topic. Then if you don't find it, then ask the question. And, I don't think I've actually put a question out there yet. I can't remember. I don't think I have quite yet, but I know that time's going to come and I'm going to feel very comfortable doing it because people are full of their experience and they're willing to share it. And that's just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love, it's just, people are very open in the group, I think, because it is a safe space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what's next for you in your shopkeeping journey? Do you have a bigger vision or goal for the gift shop aside from maybe the pickleball? I'll laugh if I reach out to you like, we want all your pickleball products, like we're ready to buy. Other than that, any other big plans for Island Life?
Yeah, I've asked myself this question. First of all, I have to say, I opened in August 2021, and here we are in June 2023. I can't believe I'm not even 2 years old yet. I feel like some ways I feel like I've aged 5 years. But it's a good feeling. Like I have never been so energized to do something and to work on something so hard. So it is hard work. And I know we all know this, those of us who own shops, it's not easy, but it is so rewarding. So to answer your question, gosh, I don't know. Like I'd like to say that in some years in the future, maybe I sell the business so that I can continue to create even more artwork, because I will say that is probably my biggest challenge right now, is that because I run the shop and I also contribute the majority of the graphics and the artwork and the design for the products in the shop, my mind is always reeling with new ideas, new projects, new everything. Like just this morning before I met with you, here's what happened. I got this brainstorm the other night that I want to create a pickleball paddle design, because I have 3 designs now that are custom printed with my artwork on pickleball paddles. I wanted to do one for the 4th of July because we have our big event coming. So I'm thinking that's a month away. I need to design it now, and I need to get it to my manufacturer and see if they can actually get me some paddles in time for the 4th of July. So I woke up at 3:30 in the morning with this idea in my head, managed to get myself back to sleep. But then, before I met with you on this call, I worked on the design and it's done, and I have sent it off to my manufacturer and asked them, can you do this? So I would love to have more time in my life to create more awesome product. So that's the rub. It's like creating that time. Maybe it's having more staff to be able to delegate more is probably my next step.
And those are 2 things I was going to say. Like the ideas for most of us entrepreneurs, everyone listening probably is shaking their head. Like, yes, the ideas are endless. Like our minds are constantly racing with ideas. And the other point I wanted to make is, especially you as a designer and as a maker, it is going to be incredibly important for you to delegate and get some of those or a lot of those things off of your plate so you can focus on your zone of genius, right? Like you shouldn't be the one doing the admin tasks or some of the repetitive tasks that can be assigned to someone else, because really your magic comes from your design talent. And that I kind of wish sometimes I had that. So I love that. So you want to make sure that you give yourself space to do that. So really quickly, and we have to wrap this up in just a few minutes, but in just a few words, almost like rapid fire fashion, what's your favorite? I promise this is easy. This is going to be easy. What's your favorite thing about shopkeeping and your least favorite thing about shopkeeping?
Oh, goodness. Favorite thing about shopkeeping is seeing all of these people come in from around the world and get so excited about the things that they see there, and chatting with them about where they're from and what they're doing and how their cruise was and all of those things. So my favorite thing is definitely being the gateway. I feel like I'm the gateway to the world because my store is literally like almost at the foot of the main shopping street. So it's kind of like a lot of people's first stop or
Yeah.
last stop. And we put up a world map and a US map where we let people who buy things, like if they want to put a little red dot where they're from. And I can't tell you how excited they get to do that. Sometimes they'll take a picture of themselves putting the dot on. And I just love that.
That is such a
It's
great
just,
idea. Can you take a picture of that and share it in Master Shopkeepers?
yeah,
I
totally
love
will.
that. I love
Yeah,
that. That's
totally.
a really great idea for souvenir shops for people in big tourist
Yeah,
areas. And that's fun. It's
yeah.
interactive. What's your least favorite thing?
So the least favorite thing, gosh, it has to be anything to do with numbers. I can't stand it. Like like whether I don't know, the expenses, the reports, the all of this stuff. I just
So,
recently, I just recently booked more time with my bookkeeper. Like she's taken on more of my stuff, my bookkeeping stuff, and let me tell you, that's going to be worth every penny.
yes, yes. I mean, if you don't love it, delegate it.
Right, right.
And you're either going to love me, Alex, or you're going to hate me in the group because I talk about numbers all the time.
Oh, I know you do. I know. Someone needs to crack the whip. So you just go on and do it.
Well, I want everyone to know, what's your website? Where can they follow you? Where can they contact you about pickleball stuff?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
your website?
Okay, the website is islandlifebainbridge.com. So that's BAINBRIDGE.
Okay.
My Facebook and my Instagram is at Island Life BI. And yeah, I mean, as far as the pickleball things and all of that, if you go to my website and you go to the shop section of the website, you will see some pickleball things. But I would just tell everybody, like, there is so much more that I have that's not currently on the website. So hopefully I will update that as time goes on. But if there's anything that people are just like, oh my gosh, do you have this thing or that thing? I always encourage people to just reach out. Or, if they've been to the shop and they get back home and they want something that they remember, I can always reach out to me. I mean, should I give you my email too? Or I'm
That's up to
fine with
you.
that.
That's up to
Yeah.
you.
I mean, you can email me at alex.sanso@gmail.com.
And Sanso is S like Sam, ANS like Sam O.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Or like we say it, Latinas, Hispanics. Are
Uh-huh.
you all Spaniard?
Yeah. So my dad was Argentine, but
Okay.
his dad was from Spain. His family was from Spain. And then my mother is from Colombia. And I was born and raised in LA. So
Oh wow.
I am Latina. I do speak Spanish, and I'm very proud of my Latina heritage. And I should speak better Spanish than I do because I was too lazy when I was younger. But I've gotten much better in my later years because and my mom lives nearby. So anytime I see my mom, it's all like pure Spanish. I love to just speak Spanish with her and nothing else.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I also didn't know when you did the discovery call that was the case. I think I learned that through a group call when you mentioned it. Because I think Sanso, I wasn't thinking Spanish, and then
Right.
got on a group call, and I love the way you say it, Sanso.
So in Spain it's Sanso.
Sanso. See,
Sanso. Yeah,
Sanso.
yeah.
I love
And
it.
some people that I know around here who they're used to seeing my name, but they don't necessarily hear it all the time. And they're fully American and they naturally pronounce it Sanso, which I think is sweet. Like it's like, oh, that's nice. But
Adding
yeah,
that Spanish twist to it.
yeah.
Alex, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I love your energy.
Thank you.
There's just the really good energy that comes out of you. I don't think I've said that
Oh, thank
before. I
you.
love it when you show up on calls, just the energy you bring to the group. I really, really appreciate you. And I'm so glad
Thank
you were
you.
willing to do this because I don't think I've interviewed, I have to go back and my brain is so full of information. I don't think I've interviewed anyone where we've specifically talked about being in a tourist area or souvenirs. So the people with those types of businesses, or the people who design and run a brick and mortar business, like you just tapped into like so many other people's business models, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, that's wonderful. If this helps anybody else in any way, that's awesome. And if any of the members or anyone wants to, anybody who's listening to the podcast wants to get, contact me and ask questions about that journey, I'm happy to share what I can. And I really appreciate you, Kathy. Thank you so much for giving so much that you do, because you really just, I don't know how you do it, but thank God that you do. It's great. It's great.
Thank you. And if you're listening to this podcast episode and you want to see the show notes, this is episode 174.